So full transparent, I want to go ahead and put this out now. I think Deion Sanders is one of the most fascinating and, the way I see it, easy to root for guys in pro sports. Or not in pro sports, but in sports in general. As a professional, oh, well, Bryson, he was cocky and he was arrogant. Yeah, we've never seen that before. We've never seen a cocky, arrogant athlete ever in the history of the world. He's been able, and this is not easy to do. Deion Sanders was drafted, I believe it was 1989. He is just as relevant now. I would strongly argue more so in 2024 than he was in 1989. Only inside the NBA can say that, right? That's a long sustained success is, and by the way, in multiple different fields. So we all know who Deion was as a player. He's the greatest corner in the history of the NFL. It's not debatable. He was awesome. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Niners and the Cowboys. Greatest corner ever. As a broadcaster, he was a natural. He's on the NFL Network. He may have done some stuff for ESPN, Fox. I can't remember, but he was great as a broadcaster. And as a coach, he's been very successful in terms of in high school, at the lower Division I level, and now at Colorado is his biggest challenge yet. The Buffalo's now joining the Big 12. With that said, again, huge Deion Sanders fan. I literally, and I'm going to do it in my next segment, Carving Up the Context, I literally quote Deion Sanders when I move into Carving Up the Context. Give me my theme music. That's what I always say. To quote Primetime. But he's wrong in a situation I'm about to detail. So there's a reporter in Denver. Kind of has a reputation, from what I've read, of being a little bit of a shock jock. Sean Keeler, reporter in Denver. And he has, let's put it this way, and Shannon Sharp did a great job of outlining this on First Take this morning in ESPN. So I'm quoting him. Shannon did a great job of laying this out. Sean has not only been critical of Deion Sanders, he's gotten a little bit personal. Matter of fact, very personal with Deion Sanders. He's called him the following: false prophet, deposition Deion, Planet Prime, Bruce Lee of BS, Deion Kool-Aid, and circus. So he's been not only critical of Deion in terms of the fact that Colorado, despite pretty low expectations, by reasonable people, went 4-8 last year. They were 2 games off of even making a bowl game, much less making any other noise beyond that. Deion Sanders called out this reporter at a press conference recently, about a week or 2 weeks ago. Called him out, put him on the spot. Don't have a problem with that. How many times have we seen Nick Saban do that? How many times have we seen Dabo Swinney do that? How many times have we seen Kirby Smart, other coaches, Urban Meyer? Well, I don't know if Urban Meyer used to do it a ton, but Ryan Day at Ohio State used to do this. Jim Harbaugh. Coaches call it media all the time. College sports, college football in particular, is very, very different than the NFL, where if you're talking about a city like a New York and LA, particularly in the Northeast, though, like New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, that part of the country, the media does not, and the fans, by the way, do not give you a whole heck of a lot of leeway. They are on, ask Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh in New York, in particular with some of the Aaron drama, can tell you firsthand. Whereas in college sports, the media, to a degree, kind of feels an obligation to not suck up to the coach, but certainly not be as critical as they would if it were the NFL. And why would that be the case, you ask? Well, by and large in college football, your USC's, your UCLA's, your Texas, your franchise, Miami, of Florida, programs like that are the exception. They tend to be in smaller towns. I don't think I've ever said these words in sequence prior to last year. Boulder, Colorado. Never. Deion's made them relevant. And in small towns like that, the media is not going to be as hard on the coach. Sean Keeler, I don't think has been hard on Deion. I think he's gone too far with Deion. And Deion called him out. No problem with that. Here's where the problem lies in. The Colorado Buffaloes football program banned Sean Keeler from asking any questions of any kind to anybody involved with Colorado football. That's a bad look. And there's no way that they make that decision if Prime doesn't have something to say about it. I mean, again, Prime is literally the reason that I am talking about Colorado, who's not even picked to win their own conference this year. That's going to be Utah. Utah's going to win the Big 12. Colorado's not. He's brought them a level of relevance that they wouldn't have had prior to him getting there. And it feels like, to a degree, he's leveraging his power in a way that he hasn't necessarily, the on-field results hasn't necessarily netted him. And this is a concern I have, not as much for Deion, but very much, and I think I'm one of the first on this, with Shedeur Sanders. I've told people, Shedeur Sanders is the reason I laugh at the Caleb Williams criticism. First of all, Caleb's more talented than Shedeur, but Shedeur is very talented, but Caleb is a prospect unlike anything I've ever seen before at the quarterback position. But when people are like, oh, Caleb, the pain and nails, the photo shoots, crying with his mom in the stands, I just don't think I can draft him. That's utterly ridiculous for reasons that I've detailed a ton in the past. Don't feel like getting into that today. Shedeur I have concerns about. Not on the field. Give that kid an offensive line. He can work magic. Throwing the football, running the football. He's a special, special talent and will be and should be a first-round pick, assuming he improves off what he did a year ago in this upcoming NFL draft. Here's where my problems lie. Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders, but Shedeur is who I'm more focused on because Shedeur has an NFL future. Deion could if he wants to, but I don't think Deion wants to be in the NFL. And he's vocalized that. Shedeur's taken shots at former teammates on Twitter. He's gotten to beefs with people. As a quarterback in the National Football League, you're whatever age you are in between 20 and, I mean, we've seen like Michael Penix, Bo Nix are like 24, 25 years old. So in between like 20 and 25 years old, your maturity should be about 20 years older than your age. So if you're a 22-year-old coming out of Clemson, you need to have the maturity of a 42-year-old. And frankly, to a certain degree, you can argue that's not fair. I mean, listen, I've met 15-year-olds who carry themselves like grown adults, and I've met 70-year-olds who carry themselves like children. So it's not something, not everybody goes through the same process in that regard. NFL quarterbacks kind of have to. Look at the successful ones. Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert. Just look up and end the list. What do all of them pretty much have in common? They conduct themselves like grown-ups. Shedeur Sanders really doesn't. And that's what I'm worried about, that whether it's because of the influence, and I don't even want to say the influence of his dad, because folks trying to act like, oh, Deion's been a bad influence to his son. Bullcrap. That's ridiculous. Shedeur Sanders is not a bad kid. I just worry he's an immature kid. And I think that there is a direct tie-in with the situation with this Sean Keeler fellow in Denver, who, again, I want to be fully transparent. I have zero issue with Deion taking exception to the stuff he said about Deion, because it's been personal. It's crossed the line, 100%. But to ban him from the press conferences, that feels a little soft. And a guy of Deion's stature, who's Sean Keeler? Yeah, it's kind of the thing I've said about Kevin Durant and KD. I have defended like crazy as a human being. I think KD is an exceptional human being who is a bit sensitive. He is. Like when you see KD going at people on Twitter, it's like, do you need to go after Joe Blow 2451 who has a follower and it's probably like a bot on Twitter? That's what it feels like a little bit with Deion Sanders. And this is with him and with Shedeur, in particular with Shedeur, a growing trend that I worry. Again, I don't have like sky high expectations for Colorado. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, even the extended 12-team playoff. But it's a story that I think is going to continue into the season. Not this necessarily, but could lead to some other issues down the road. And that's my criticism. Not that Deion went after this guy. We got no problem with that. If the guy's going to say those things about Deion, Deion's got the right to respond. It's the fact that it clearly bothered him so much to the degree that, oh, we're just going to tune him out. Well, that gives more credence to the idea Oh, okay, maybe they're more thin-skinned than we thought. I don't know. And I love Deion Sanders. I'm always going to love Deion Sanders. He's a great guy. He's done a lot for a lot of people. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.